Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Stuff Podcast, where we talk all things Star Wars. My name is Colin,
I'm Ray.
and we're here to talk about.
Milk.
I thought we were past that.
Never.
Starting off with good things.
The strike.
The strike is over.
After 118 days.
118
the strike
days.
is over. It surpassed the former longest actors strike, which was 95 days in the 1980s.
Yep. And then we also have the Kevin Feige movie is not happening. We have the Hunger Games. The Hunter's Game has been delayed until 2024. It keeps getting pushed back. And then we are going to talk about what you can do to celebrate Life Day.
So starting off with the strike news, my notes deleted themselves. So we're going to run off my memory, which is not great. But here we go. So a tentative deal was reached. Essentially, what this means is that the studios and the union have come to an agreement. It now will go to the union board and they will vote on it. If they vote yes, then it goes to the union members, and the union members will then vote to ratify it, and then it'll go into effect. So in the meantime, the union has allowed actors to return to work. So that means the strike is technically over. However, if this new deal is not ratified, then the strike could start again, but that would technically be a separate strike.
Yes.
But they could go back on strike if it does not go through.
So of what they're saying is true from a certain point of view. So it's over, but it's not over.
This strike is over, but it could start again.
Yes.
So it's all up in the air, but the biggest thing was that an agreement was reached. Apparently it was all day deliberations between the studios and the union heads. I do have my notes from yesterday before it was announced that the strike ended. So back on Monday, November 6th, the 116th day of the actors' strike, the SAG-AFTRA announced that it had rejected the studio's, quote, last, best, and final offer because their biggest sticking point was the use of AI, which was not, the protections that they wanted for AI were not in place in that proposal. It appears that the wording for the AI rules have been changed, and that is why they've accepted the deal. Apparently, they did not get everything that they were looking for, but they did get a lot of it. So this last best final offer contained a clause that would allow the studios to obtain AI scans for Schedule F performers. Schedule F is like your big names. The article that I read specifically named like George Clooney. So you've got like your big leading names for a one-time fee. So they'd get an AI scan of the big name actor for a one-time fee. Once they do that, the studios would then be able to reuse those scans in perpetuity however they like without further compensating the actor and without getting the actor's consent. So let's say they get an AI scan of Mark Hamill.
Yes.
They then want to make propaganda and use Mark Hamill to support their idea. They can do that regardless of what Mark Hamill wants. So it could go against Mark Hamill's beliefs and they could still do it because they have the AI scan.
Wow.
So it's essentially owning somebody's likeness and being able to use it however you want, which is incredibly terrifying.
Yeah.
The clause also contained a loophole that if the performer passed away, they could still use their likeness without the consent of the estate or paying the estate.
That's something I don't understand, just because of to me, it's just been courtesy of getting permission from the families. For example, there was Carrie Fisher passed away, and they had to get permission from Carrie's family, and they definitely gave consent. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's how it should go.
Yeah.
So SAG was determined to secure permission for and compensation for reused scans. So essentially, they're like, you can have the scans, but you need to get the actor's consent every time you use them, and you need to pay them every time you use them. Julie Dove was interviewed. She's a SAG-AFTRA member and said, "I do voiceover, and the idea that I could go in for one session and someone could just do whatever they wanted with my voice for the rest of eternity is pretty scary." And that whole idea surrounding AI is something that is like incredibly invasive and completely removes an actor's autonomy. But it goes beyond that, because if that deal were to go through like it was, it would have a cascading impact on the entertainment industry. Because if your actors are now AI, there's no need for food, craft services. There's no need for gaffers, grips, makeup, set department. Right. All of those jobs would disappear. And so this issue has the ability to impact the entire entertainment industry, top to bottom.
Wow.
Yeah, so another thing that's really important to remember is that before this strike began, A24, this is a studio that makes independent films, usually low budget. They were able to meet all of SAG's requests. And they're a small studio. There are several small studios who were able to meet SAG's requests, and the big names claimed that they couldn't afford to. But a tiny studio could.
Interesting.
So it's definitely not about the money, and it was about the power.
Huh.
But there was a statement released to announce that the strike had ended from SAG. And I'll just read that. It says, "We are thrilled and proud to tell you today that your TV and Theatrical Negotiating Committee voted unanimously to approve a tentative agreement with the AMPTP. As of 12:01 a.m. on November 9, our strike is officially suspended and all picket locations are closed. In a contract valued at over $1 billion, we have achieved a deal of extraordinary scope that includes above-pattern minimum compensation increases, unprecedented provisions for consent and compensation that will protect members from the threat of AI, and for the first time establishes a streaming participation bonus. Our pension and health caps have been substantially raised, which will bring much needed value to our plans. In addition, the deal includes numerous improvements for multiple categories, including outsized compensation increases for background performers and critical contract provisions protecting diverse communities. We have arrived at a contract that will enable SAG-AFTRA members from every category to build a sustainable career. Many thousands of performers now and into the future will benefit from this work. The full details of the agreement will not be provided until the tentative agreement is reviewed by the SAG-AFTRA National Board." So we're not going to find out the full details until the board votes to approve the deal. So essentially, we'll find out when the union members find out. And then that could take at least a week, because they'll have to have time to read over it and then vote on it. So it could be a little bit before we know officially that, I mean, this strike is over, but officially that they won't be striking again.
Yeah.
And this was only a 3-year deal. I know there was quite a few people who were like, it's only a 3-year deal. You don't need to be so sticky on the AI. But if you don't get those AI provisions now, it's going to be even harder to get them in the future.
Yeah.
Because if you were to let a studio just have at it with AI scans, and then in 3 years say, okay, we're going to rein in the AI scans, it's going to be a lot harder to backtrack that.
Yeah. It's definitely something to think about. And I think a lot of people, because there are some people where they don't understand of why the strike was happening. And they were like, nobody cares, like, just let things resume. It's like, you don't understand how this affects the entire film industry.
Oh my gosh, you just knocked 9 years off of my life because you kicked over your water bottle.
It was the force. But going back to the strike, I'm hoping, like, yes, it's over, but you're right. There always holds that possibility of it continuing if the board and everyone doesn't agree.
Hmm.
So hopefully everything goes smoothly and we can go forward, because there's so many great projects out there because of the strike. Of this one, like, first ended, that had caused trailers to come out for certain films, because we got Ghostbusters, we got Inside Out 2, and any day now I'm expecting for the Star Wars trailers to come out for, like, Acolyte, for Andor season 2, and of course Skeleton Crew, which is the next Star Wars project that's supposed to come out.
Yeah, I know. One thing that I did read was they got increases. I think it's pay increases between 7 and 8%, which is the highest in 40 years.
Okay.
And I did read that as a union member, you need to make $26,000 a year in order to get health insurance.
Wow.
And so a lot of people weren't meeting that, so they weren't getting health insurance. So I'm sure, like, they could buy it themselves, but for somebody who does acting professionally, if you are not making 26,000, you're not getting health insurance.
Yeah.
So that was also, I think, one of the things that they wanted in there was to make it easier for people to obtain health insurance.
I'm just going to bring this up. This is from one of our listeners. These studios can build an entire library of actors and actresses that they can pull from to create new movies that will allow studios to maximize their profits by never again having to pay new cast members any type of salary, because no new actresses will even be needed. That's basically of what you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
which is not. It's kind of terrifying, because that really does. Um, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it, but basically, to me, it doesn't seem right. Like, it feels weird to be like, now we own your likeness, we own your voice, we own all that stuff. Would they pay them every time they used it, or no?
Originally, no.
Oh wow,
They would get paid one time, and then they could use their AI likeness whenever and however they wanted for no additional money.
it's crazy.
So, and I know SAG was like, no, you're going to get consent and pay every time you use them. So hopefully that was one of the things that went through in the deal. Yeah, it's just, AI is so scary to me, because I was listening to a podcast that was discussing the issues of AI coming up, and they played a clip of Biden just like saying the most nonsensical stuff, and it was AI. I could not tell. It sounded exactly like him. So you could take anybody's voice and make them say whatever they want.
Yeah.
And it's then they said it's back and forth. Who's to say if it's real or not?
Right.
Because you can't just say, oh, I didn't say that. Well, we have you on recording. But that could be artificially created.
Yeah.
And that just absolutely scares me.
It's a very terrifying thing, and hopefully all parties agree to the deal that they have made, so then everything can go forward, and then everything is happening fairly, because to me that's the most important thing going forward. But speaking of going forward, what does this mean for Star Wars going forward?
Well, now I guess because Star Wars does use a little bit of AI when it comes to like young Luke in The Mandalorian.
That was a deep fake.
That's partially AI.
Yes.
So it's, I mean, for them, it's they're going to, I don't know if they were or not, that's beside the point kind of, but they will now, Mark Hamill's now ensured that because his likeness is reappearing, he will be getting money for that.
Good.
Not to say that they weren't paying him before. I honestly have no idea. It's not something I ever looked into. But I don't know. It's kind of comforting to know that the people who are creating all of this content that we consume are going to be like fairly compensated and respected, and like feels a little better to be consuming it in a way. But now that the strike is over, projects will start resuming. So it could still be a little bit, because I can't imagine many actors are returning to work today, because I mean, you have to like send out all the call sheets and everything. So it's probably going to be a few days before the work continues. But
absolutely.
Yeah, there's, as somebody who, when I was in film school, worked as the continuity supervisor, it's because it's been so long, it's kind of difficult to know how it will just the time span will impact projects, because like it's been so long. People's haircuts have changed, maybe they grew a beard, like who's to say? So like that's something that's going to have to be taken into consideration, because if you stopped, because you don't film an entire scene in one day, you sometimes film it over the course of a few days. So if you stopped filming and you only have half the scene, you now have to cut with an 118-day time span instead of just a day or so. So that's, I wonder how much continuity errors will be popping up in like recent projects until they start getting like past that. I do know that a lot of projects that were slated for a 2024 release have been pushed back to 25 at the earliest, and like everything's just kind of been pushed back. I know a lot of TV series, because usually the fall is when you start new seasons of series. All of their, I think Bob Iger said that they're going to try to salvage half of a season.
Of what?
Of like TV, because Bob Iger is in charge of Disney, and Disney owns like literally everything. So any ABC shows that are happening, I mean, they haven't been happening. So it will probably be a slow start back to creating the stuff, but it's a start nonetheless. So, and then we'll also be able to hear from actors about like Ahsoka, because Ahsoka happened during the strike.
We like really weren't getting any red carpet premieres. There were some people that were that, like, for example, there was Indiana Jones, and they like, technically did have a red carpet premiere, and then they had like a fan thing, and they also had like a fan outing too for Ahsoka as well.
Yes, that the fan events for Ahsoka were because they could not do a premiere. So they invited people to attend a premiere, which was strike breaking. So because they were taking the place of the celebrities that would have been appearing at the premiere. So yeah, it was so strange to watch like so many people attend these fan events, and I'm like, it's technically scabbing. So it's just so, it was so wild to watch.
But going forward, happy things going forward. We can get back on track, because now we've got Skeleton Crew, Acolyte, and Andor Season 2 all coming out next year, including the game Star Wars Outlaws and possibly Star Wars Hunters. Star Wars Hunters, I called it the Hunger Games earlier. The new Hunter, the new Hunters game is, I played a demo of it at Star Celebration 2022, and it's kind of like this arena game where you can be not just your standard Jedi and Sith, but there's like a Jedi droid. There are Jawas that are on each other's shoulders, and they all have blasters, and there's a Wookiee brute, and there's just a bunch of different things in there where I was like, this is pretty cool, and you'll basically be able to team up, play online with friends and stuff. But this game has been in the works for a very long time, so I never thought that it was actually going to happen. But now it sounds like it's actually happening, so I'm excited for that. And then there is the new Kevin Feige was supposed to do a Star Wars movie, and he's not doing it anymore.
Yeah, from the sounds of it, it sounds like it got stuck in developmental hell.
Yeah.
Which essentially, uh, an idea for a movie is brought to a studio. The studio, if the studio takes it, it goes into development. A lot of projects die in development, and we don't even know about them. So it sounds like it kind of just got stuck in development hell and didn't make it out.
My guess is that Kevin Feige really needs I think he really, really, really wanted to do it. But with the way the Marvel is going on right now, I think he's like, man, I need to get back to my child and
Yeah.
help them out, because Marvel's been having projects left and right, and either they're really great or it's a swing and a miss. So I think he wants to focus his time there because of I think after phase 3 of Marvel, and I know we're talking about Marvel, but I think after phase 3 of Marvel, I think it's like I I left the franchise in a very successful state. I think I can walk away and possibly work on other projects and maybe come back here and there. But then, you've got just shows that aren't doing as great as I think everyone thought it was going to be. So I think he's mainly focusing his stuff back on Marvel, just because to me, Marvel really needs it right now. And, you know, again, it's okay not to like something. Even though someone else likes it, that's totally okay. But I think the majority is people are saying it's kind of lacking right now. My guess is that after Marvels and then the season 2 finale of Loki, I think people will be very excited. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, and then
Wait, what do you mean that's all you're gonna say about that? Have you seen? Have you seen them?
I just know stuff.
Okay, don't tell me.
Well, I
Don't tell
I
me.
just said.
Don't tell me.
I just
I'm
said
so
I was
excited.
going to leave it at
I'm so excited for the Loki premiere. There are so many possibilities. Somebody stop me because I will go off on a Loki rant for like 2 hours. If you
Okay.
let me.
Life Day is coming up.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm just okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm sorry. As somebody who loves character development, Loki's just
save
like
it.
the pinnacle of character analysis. That's all I'll say.
Save it for the Marvel Stuff podcast.
That's all I'll say. But he's just he's the perfect character to analyze. So that's why I'm so obsessed.
You're such a nerd.
Yeah.
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 Both of us are. All right. We got Life Day coming up on November 17th. For those who don't know that much about Life Day started back in 1978, a year after A New Hope. And
why was I going to say The Force Awakens?
After Force Awakens, 2015. No,
no, because you said 78.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of like paused and I was like, yeah, Force Awakens. No, that's not Force Awakens.
No.
Wow. Wow.
But yeah, no. I really like that holiday just because it's so nerdy. And last year I had the opportunity with going to a couple of friends to Galaxy's Edge, and I bought this wonderful Snuggie right here. And we had Life Day orbs, and we were just kind of walking around Galaxy's Edge. And if you've never seen it, you can't buy a physical copy. It's not in stores. It's not on Disney Plus. You have to go on YouTube to find it.
It's the holiday special, right?
Yes, yeah. So you just type in the Star Wars holiday special, and it will pop up there. And it's there's some elements that are really great. There are some elements that are just like, oh, this happened.
There's a reason it's hard to find.
Princess Leia sings at one point, and uh, and then you've got Chewie's family. There's a lot of great things.
Okay. Now, can you explain what is Life Day? Like what are they celebrating? What's the traditions?
So for Life Day, basically Chewie is so during the holiday special, Han is trying to get Chewie home for Life Day. Essentially, it's Christmas, and they get back. Wow, there's a lot of people commenting about the holiday special.
Anyway, explaining Life
Yeah,
Day.
sorry, I was like, ooh, but yeah, no. So basically, he's trying to get Chewie home and to celebrate Life Day, where they celebrate life. And there's for Kashyyyk, the home planet of the Wookiees, it's a very spiritual planet. The Wookiees are very spiritual. They talk to the trees. And we actually got our first look at Kashyyyk in the holiday special. But and a lot of people who didn't watch the holiday special were like, no, we first saw the home world of the Wookiees in Revenge of the Sith. And I was like, you should watch the holiday special. And there's small things there where I just look back and I think it's funny because, for example, there's the stormtroopers that are walking around that in Chewie's home, and they're holding the blaster by the handle, but then they're holding it by the stock, and it's very interesting. Yeah. Um, George Lucas tried to destroy every copy that was ever made.
Yes. But even though the internet wasn't a thing,
No,
you can never erase anything.
no, you can't. And don't worry, we will be watching the holiday special on Life Day. Ray's never watched it all the way through.
Nope.
It's gonna be great.
But I have to work on Life Day. We talked about this last week. Or maybe the week before. We've talked about this.
Did you just go into your Yelena impression?
Okay, so here's the thing. I will just randomly start doing weird accents.
Yeah, I've
Not-
known you for a long time.
Yeah, they're not even like properly done accents. It's just my voice just starts changing it up a little bit.
Whenever I hear a voice, I'm just in the mood for hot sauce and macaroni.
Yeah, I will devolve into Yelena from Black Widow.
We're really off topic today.
Jester Lavore from Critical Role, or just some random variation of British.
Okay. All right. So
Fun facts about me.
So for Life Day, you can watch the holiday special. You can make Wookiee cookies. If you're going to Galaxy's Edge, there's always fun stuff they're doing over there. They're always selling stuff. There's always a group picture. Last year, I'm just going to say something out of context, and Ray's going to have no idea. But there is a chef that has 4 arms, and their main line in the show is "Whip stir, whip stir, whip stir," and it's just the funniest thing because Chewie's wife is watching a cooking show.
Is it like the space Martha Stewart?
Kind of.
Amazing.
It's terrifying.
It's a holiday special.
Yeah.
I would not expect it to be anything less than terrifying.
One of the greatest things that came out of the holiday special, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. If we never get the holiday special, we probably would not have the Mandalorian
Wow.
because his rifle is from the Mandalorian TV show. I mean, yeah. So his rifle in the show is from the holiday special.
Yes.
And then they actually sort of reference this short where in the Book of Boba Fett, he wants to ride the Rancor, and then the guy's like, it might be a challenge, and he's like, I have rode something larger, and they're referring to the giant dinosaur creature that he rides in the holiday special. And they mentioned the holiday special in the first episode of the Mandalorian, and there's just a lot of elements from that are brought into the world and the galaxy of the Mandalorian.
Okay, so there's this like trope, this sect of Star Wars fans that think that Disney is ruining Star Wars, right? That they're destroying George Lucas's legacy. I think the funniest thing is that they're taking something George Lucas created and regretted so much he tried to destroy it, and they're continuously working to make it canon.
Yes.
That is the funniest thing to me ever.
Yep. And you can find a bunch of merchandise over at Galaxy's Edge. It's all there. There's like a bunch of it. There's robes. There's a Chewie plush wearing a Life Day robe and holding a Life Day orb. It's fantastic. So if you haven't watched it, check it out. We'll definitely be celebrating that weekend. But yeah. And then if you check out the High Republic, the Adventures of the Young Jedi Adventures, you can actually see some characters from the High Republic book show up in that, but also you will also see a small holiday Life Day kind of special in one of those episodes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it tracks back thousands of years. So if you don't know that much about the Life Day, watch the holiday special, brush up on it. It's fantastic. Life Day.
Life Day 2023.
With that being said, I think that's it for this week.
Best day of the year. Parks and Rec.
No, I get it, but to me, it's Star Wars Day,
Okay.
Black Spire Day.
Okay.
That's like the best holiday.
The second best day of the year.
You're not getting any gifts this year.
No, I know. I wasn't expecting any from you because we're not friends.
Of what you say is true.
Shut up.
All right.
Watch yourself, or we might actually not be friends.
Oh. That would be really sad because then I would be sitting on this wonderful couch in the studio by myself.
And you would miss out on my strange and weird accents.
I would.
And that'd be a shame.
I would. All right. With that being said, oh no,
We're super glitchy because the battery on the laptop is about to die.
All right. With that being said, you can find us on all things Star Wars. Go on our website. No. I'm just gonna end it. I want to see